Were there more fights you would say like in Jamaica that you got in or in America?
Probably in America because the fights in America are more like fist fights. The fights in Jamaica are a little different because people are like they got weapons, machetes, or like
They'll
people
go
are gonna
crazy
shoot.
on
Yeah,
you.
it's more you're more likely to get shot in Jamaica. I think people think that, Bryan is making like millions of dollars or something. They're like, oh, you took the chunk out of it, you took the cash, you took the money. You know what? No one has to fight. No one ever has to fight. So you chose to fight. Yeah, no one has to fight. But people don't realize if I didn't fight, I wouldn't get paid at all. We've seen the dude. I seen the dude out drinking. My coach has seen him out drinking. Seen him on Instagram. Like we act like we're blind. I seen him on Instagram smoking weed and fucking getting tattooed and popping fucking whatever the fuck, packing lips and shit like that. You chilling, bro. You
Shit,
chilling.
yeah, I
You're
did
not.
see those too.
Come on, bro. What are we
How
talking
long
about?
before that you guys got booked was that?
We were booked already. Like either you think I'm a bitch or you don't respect me or you just think like whatever.
Like you said, you're coming still, no Diddy. And
It doesn't matter. Whatever we're talking about now, it doesn't even matter. The result was the result. And I'm looking forward to what's next in my career and being able to move forward. The biggest fight that I do think styles make fights, and I think will make an amazing matchup, Geoff Neal.
all right, so today I'm joined by the rude boy, Randy Brown. Welcome, man. How are you?
What's up, my man? How are you? Good.
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for coming on today. Just to kind of give a preface, we know you're coming off that loss, but it's kind of like we just talked about before coming on. It's a little bit of a sidestep. So we're going to talk about the fight a little bit, what you want to do next. But for my audience, because this is your first time coming on, just let me know about your backstory a little bit. Like you come from Jamaica, right? That's where you're born.
I grew up in Jamaica. Probably from about 1 to about 18, 17, 18. I came to America. I came to Queens, New York, Jamaica, Queens to be exact. Went to Jamaica High School. I was boxing since I was in Jamaica a little bit. Came here, continued to box. Did a few competitions, you know what I mean? Did well. Figured I'd try my hand at some jujitsu. Like down the street from me, I was going to a school called ECI. It was like a technical school, like a trade school. And in
Okay.
between classes, I would go to this gym. Happens to be Henzo Gracie Academy. You know what I mean? At first, I thought it was a boxing gym. I said, let me go check it out. I go in there and it's guys in gis and stuff like that. And this dude at the front desk, his name was Pete Lawson. He convinced me. He was also Jamaican, and he convinced me to try a jiu-jitsu class. I tried it, having me at Henzo Gracie Academy, and I liked it. Turns out I was decent. I was already athletic and just like a wiry kid. Told me I'd be good at it. Took a couple classes, I fell in love, and I just been doing jiu-jitsu ever since. Before you know it, I meet this guy named Nardu, and he's like, "Man, you have good stand up, you had a good frame for this. You should give it a shot. Maybe you could do some MMA. Just one MMA. Just do one MMA class." Did one MMA class. I was good at it. All right, and then next thing you know, I'm an amateur fight, bro. And I win that fight, and rest is history.
Okay. So what was your intentions, I guess, before like jujitsu or when you went into Henzo's class? Like, were you training for a hobby or like what was your intentions behind training?
I
Were
wanted
you
to be
training
a
to be a
boxer.
boxer? Okay,
Yeah,
got
I,
you,
I
got
wanted to
you.
be a boxer. I wanted to be a professional boxer, and jiu-jitsu just kind of took it away from me a little bit. Just took some time away from me. I didn't have enough time, and I just started doing that. And I got to the point where I I fell in love with jiu-jitsu so much to the point where you get your student loan, you get that shit, your refund back at the end of the year, or shit like that. I took that whole thing. It was like probably like 3 grand or so. I just dumped it on jiu-jitsu and I was like, all right, how long can this get me to train? And I just trained for the longest, and I just been
Yeah.
there doing that.
Did you start
What?
competing in jujitsu?
Yeah, I started competing. I won a couple Nagas, you know what I mean?
Okay, got you.
And got my blue belt, and then I don't know, I was just stuck doing jiu-jitsu. I remember my first fight. It's funny. My first fight, I'm fighting this dude, and the dude, he just looked like this regular kid, and he just had on I remember he had on a red hoodie. I forget his name. It was in Philadelphia, and the dude just looked regular. He looked like a normal kid, and I was wiry. I was so skinny, man. I was maybe like 169. I fought at 170, but I was like 169, soaking wet without cutting weight or anything,
Got you.
right? And I go in there. I'm fighting this dude. I remember he took his shirt off and is just bouncing across the cage, looking at me,
His
and I'm like,
belly or
damn.
what? Was he
No,
fat?
he was just bouncing and he was just
Oh,
like jacked. Like his neck was just, he used to wrestle. He was like a former wrestler. I didn't know anything about wrestling or anything like that. I'm 6 months in jujitsu. Like, maybe maybe 7 months, if that. And when I tell you this dude could have threw me out the cage if he wanted to. He was throwing me around everywhere. He threw me, slammed me. He was whooping my ass, bro. He was whooping my ass for the majority of it. It was 2 minute rounds, so about 3 2 minute rounds whooping my ass. And I mean, 10 seconds left. I caught his neck with a ninja choke, right? And put him out cold, unconscious, you know. And you could hear I had one person in the crowd, my coach, and then my friend. The place was quiet. He had like a whole bunch of people that was quiet. You just heard one dude screaming, you know, in the
That was your
crowd.
guy.
That was my friend, right? The only dude that showed up. And ever since, you know, my coach was like, "Yo, we're gonna take some time off. We're gonna work on your game, but you got it. I think you got it." And then I didn't fight for like 2 years after that, and I just trained, you know, and
Why
the
didn't
rest
you
is
fight for
history.
2 years? You were like preparing to kind of like take it serious, or
Yeah, I mean, I just got thrown around an octagon.
yeah. So
we
you're like,
got
all
we
right,
got
let
to
me
get
take this
better.
serious real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we took time, we got better, and then, you know, won some amateur titles, and you know, went pro 2015, I believe I went pro. One title was fought for the ring combat title at 2-0, which is unheard of. You know what I mean? So now I'm fighting real guys at 2-0,
Mhm.
beat those guys, got signed to the UFC with just a year after going pro, you know.
Gotcha. And what made you kind of like choose MMA over boxing or something like that? Was it just the love for jiu-jitsu? You kind of dropped off boxing completely for a while?
It's just no, I didn't have a coach anymore. You know, I didn't have a
Oh, like
coach.
a
And then
gym and
once,
stuff.
yeah, so once I met Nardu, you know, this was my sensei now, it was like he kind of just took me under his wing and told me, like, yeah, we're gonna get to box, we're gonna get back to that, you know, but you know, you're just so talented at jiu-jitsu. Let's just focus on this for now, and then we'll see. Just give it a shot and see how you feel, and then maybe we could take it from there, you know. And I just stayed with it. I just kept, and then before you know it, that the dreams of boxing just kind of dwindled, and I just stayed with
Just like
MMA.
blurred into MMA basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how did you meet Nardu again from Henzo Gracie's? He was training there too?
Yeah, he's a Henzo Gracie black belt. All right,
Okay.
he's a black belt on the under Don Donaher, and I was just there, man. You know, and then he saw. I remember I wanted to I wanted to fight. It was me who wanted to fight originally, right? And
Because you
then I
came in
just
as a boxer, right? So you're like
yeah,
probably like figuring out like how am I gonna like throw these hands when I'm doing jujitsu?
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I could fight. I could probably take one fight or so. And I remember this other dude, same dude, Pete. Pete was telling me, like, yeah, you know, if you want to fight, you're gonna have to really take it serious. If you want to fight, you're gonna have to do other things other than just jiu-jitsu and boxing.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy named Jay. I remember Jay introduced me to Sensei. He was like, man, you got to meet Sensei. You got to meet Nardu. He's some of the slickest jiu-jitsu I've ever seen. He used to fight. You know, he has his own gym in Queens. I live in Queens. And he's like, yo, check him out, man. And he introduced me to him. And then once he introduced me to Sensei, he was like, Sensei said everybody, he's always like, everybody wants to fight, but nobody wants to fight. So everybody's going to say, yo, yeah, I'm going to pull up. I'm going to come to the gym. I'll be there. I'll be there, you know. So he said, yeah, you want to come by? Here's the address. Whenever you're ready, man, come by. And I remember, to me, it wasn't a big deal, but I walked there from where I live. It's probably like 2 miles, right? I was walking there and then it started to rain. Once it started to rain, I just jogged there. And to him, that was the biggest thing. To me, at the moment, I didn't really care. It was just like, yeah, all right, I walk everywhere anyway. So I got there when it was raining when I got there, and he was surprised that I actually showed up.
In the
And he's like,
rain,
oh,
ran
yeah. He was
there. Yeah, it's crazy.
like, you showed up, you ran. And I'm like, yeah, to him, it was the biggest thing. And I was like, to me at the time, I'm a kid. I'm like, I don't give a damn, right? So I show up and, you know, he was really impressed by that. And, you know, I started training with him. And then that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of American kids won't like do that. I feel like how when did you move here from Jamaica? Because maybe like that has
I had to be
something to
like
do with the fact.
17 or 18, maybe.
Oh, so you're way older. So like, yeah, running over to like a gym was probably nothing to you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a car. I never
Yeah.
owned a car. You know what I mean? I
But kids
walked
are
everywhere
spoiled here in
anyway.
America that grow up, that's like they might walk, but if it's raining, they're like, I'll go like tomorrow and shit. And then that turns into never happening. So that's probably why he was surprised and shit.
Yeah, he was super impressed. And to me, at the moment, now, you know, later on in my life, I can see how that could be impressive to someone. But at the time, I was just like, all right, I'm here, bro. You told me to be here. I'm here.
And how
You
old were
know,
you when that happened?
like 17, around them
Okay.
time, 17, 18.
So Nardu was basically training at Henzo's, and then he was a fighter too. So he had his own gym on the side in Queens.
Yeah.
Got you. And what was it like in Queens a little bit? That's like where Mike Tyson grew up and shit.
Nah, Tyson grew up in Brownsville in
Oh,
Brooklyn.
Brownsville.
Yeah,
Okay,
he grew
got
up
you.
in the next borough over from me.
Okay.
So I grew up in Jamaica, Queens a little bit. I went to a school called Jamaica High School. You know anything about Jamaica High School, you know, it's a crazy ass school. Um, it was calm. It was only the worst thing for me, honestly, was more so just like the culture shock of trying to, blend and try to keep up with my friends and try to speak, you know, proper English of how they speak, you know what I mean? And try to blend into that because you got an accent. People kind of they bully you and try to treat you funny, you know what I mean? But for me, not so much. I think I did a great job. I think I did a good job of like, assimilating, I guess, right? And also the community, Jamaica, Queens in general, is a lot of Jamaicans in Queens, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of families that migrated, here to America and all that. And a lot of the kids that went to their parents or their grandparents were Jamaican or from the Caribbean or from somewhere else. It was just a melting pot of different cultures. So it was easy.
Okay. And like, is it kind of like Brownsville is like really dangerous? Was Queens kind of dangerous at all, or like walking around
Yeah,
there and stuff? Is it kind of like you got to watch your back a little bit?
yeah, Jamaica, Queens, yeah, where I'm from, like some of the projects around here and stuff like that. But it's just again, it's who you're around, right? It's who you're around, who you decide to surround yourself with. You know what I mean? So naturally, you're gonna run into shit. Shit is gonna happen. You're gonna get into fights. There's gonna be gangs. There's gonna be all that shit. But like, it's just up to you. How you wanna approach that and deal with that, and how you carry yourself. You know what I mean? So you're around that. You could be in it, but not of it. You know what I mean? So for me, it was more. So I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I was trying to pursue. So a lot of that, a lot of that never really affected me. And then I grew up around a lot of there's like a lot of gang. I just grew up around gangsters and all that type of stuff, and like got from being in Jamaica and then coming here. There's a lot of different people in my family that are involved in certain shit. So I never found the need to really want to jump into that. You know what I mean? I had my own lane, and I had good support around me to kind of push me into that. So that's what I did.
Got you. Did anyone ever like approach you or anything like that, and you had to kind of maneuver your way around it to like make sure you stayed on the straight and narrow at any point?
Yeah, of course, naturally. This is how it
Just
is, especially
happens.
going to yeah, just especially going to the school that I'm going to. But again, it's up to you. I got friends that are in that life wholeheartedly, and it's just like I'm not in it, but we still cool. You know what I mean? And it's no one. My friends respected me to the point where they know. Even if I decided I wanted to get into that, everybody would look at me like, bro, that's not what you do, bro. That's not you. Nah, we need you to stay in the ring and keep doing what you do, bro, because they support me doing what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, because around that time, right? Like in high school and stuff, you were like boxing, right? Or something like that. So they knew you were fighting and trying to compete.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were always like true with like your intentions. Like you're like, I like to train, but I grew up around these guys, but it doesn't mean I necessarily have to like be associated with a gang. Like more so like if you're in the same neighborhood, you guys can just kick it from time to time or something like that.
Yeah, it's that type of thing. It's like, and my friend group was more so like, some guys are into that, some people are not. But naturally, we ain't no bitches. We ain't, you know what I'm saying? We're not, but we're just not into that. That's just not what we're doing. I mean, if somebody tried to like that wanted to, do something, I feel like that would be a bad idea. You know what I mean? But still, we're not like out looking for trouble or trying to do nothing like that. We just kids, bro. Just trying to chase our dreams at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what were your homies like? Were they same kind of similar dreams like boxing and training or like your circle of
Everybody's
friends that you're
different.
talking about?
Everybody's different. Right now, my best friend
Yeah.
is a mailman. Right now, he ended up being a
Okay.
mailman. Like everybody just went on to do other things. There's some people that didn't make it. Some people are, people are naturally people get caught up in shit and they go down that path. But everybody's path was different, and but we all come together still from time to time.
Yeah, okay. And the last thing I have just about this one, I wasn't even really planning on asking you, but I know I won't get too into it, but because your dad's in jail or something like that, and then you said that or prison, right? And then you also had mentioned that, like, your family was caught up in it. I'm just trying to tie 2 and 2 together. I actually don't even know why your dad, is incarcerated or anything, but, like, did you happen to learn any lessons from your family to where, like, that helped you stay on the straight and narrow too? And, like, maybe, like, find a hobby or something like that so you're not kinda, like, maybe doing nothing?
Nah, I just never had the desire. I mean, naturally, like my dad was always in my life. He's always been around. Maybe not physically, but I visit him all the time. And as a kid, he's always calling. Like he's there. He's just not here where he can come. But he's always been a big important figure in my life, and he's always telling me, just things that I shouldn't be doing, or things that learn from the lessons from him and that kind of stuff. And even just like other family members around me that are already doing things, it's kind of like everyone kind of used to always just breathe life into me and just always tell me like, bro, you can be special. You know what I mean? You can be, we see that in you and like continue to do what you do and put that energy into the energy and the mindset that you have. Don't put it into this, put it into something else. So I always had a big support team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's important.
I always had people around, whether it may not be the best influence to other people, but for me, they still were like, yo, even though they did what they did, they still protected me and was like, yo, I was the youngest kid, the youngest son, you know what I mean? And the youngest out of all my siblings. I have like 9 siblings, and it's everyone always kind of just came together for me and supported me. So
Okay. So that probably made you feel like you had a purpose and like probably gave you confidence to try things out.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I never really was people feel like, if you have like just idle time, and it's not even about that, it's just your mindset. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. I just happen to be that kind of kid. You know, I
Busy
just
kid,
never
right?
found yeah, I never found interest in doing that. I mean, you do shit as a kid naturally. We all do shit. You just don't get caught up. You don't get caught, right? But we all do shit. But
Our
at
own
the
little
end of the
mischief
day,
from time to time.
yeah, but at the end of the day, you know your heart and you're not that you're not primarily just gonna do that. You know what I mean? I know I have a bigger purpose and a bigger goal, and that's what I work towards.
Got you. And just like a fun one, did you ever get in like a street fight or anything like that? Because you are a fighter, you grew up in a rough area. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, naturally, of course. Yeah,
You got in a
plenty of
couple.
fights. Yeah, plenty of fights.
Okay.
Especially when I just came from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Even in Jamaica, I had so much fights. But that's just comes with being a kid. That's a part of growing up. It's not because I was in this area or because I'm, whatever, or I come from this family. Nah, we got into fights. You know what I mean? That's what happens. Growing up as kids, we got into brawls. Me and my friends versus whoever. Like that's just how it goes.
Got you. Were there more fights because you grew up in both areas? Were there more fights you would say like in Jamaica that you got in or in America? Like who's
Probably in
more down to
America.
throw down?
Probably in America because
Oh, really?
the fights in America were different. The fights in America are more like fist fights. The fights in Jamaica are a little different because people are like they got weapons, machetes, or like
They'll
people
go
are gonna
crazy
shoot.
on
Yeah,
you.
you're more likely to get shot in Jamaica.
Oh
You
shit.
know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Whereas here you can get shot, but guys are like more willing to fight. You know?
Got you. And what were like because you said because you came from Jamaica or something, so like that's one of the reasons why you're getting arguments or something?
Yeah, I mean, people would think you're an easy target.
Is it
Especially I
making
don't.
fun of your accent or something? You'd
Yeah,
stand up for
and I
yourself?
don't.
Is
You
that
don't
it?
culturally. You don't dress like everybody else yet. You know what I'm saying? You're still young. I'm still impressionable. I'm a kid. I'm still trying to find myself and find my group of people and friends. Luckily, one of my best friends, Raheem, he actually he knew my mom and everything, right? His mom and my mom were like this, right? And you know, we were neighbors and we went to the same school. We were in the same grade. So naturally he brought me into his friend group and he was always like really a really cool dude everybody knew and all that, and then slowly I started to make my own way and all that, you know what I mean? And so that's just how that went. But naturally you're gonna get into shit because people, especially the school I went to, Jamaica High School. If you just do your research on Jamaica High School,
I'm gonna
that
have to look
school
it up then.
that school was prep for prison. That school was not. The graduation rate was like 30% or something. They shut it down. It was a horrible, horrible school. Terrible. They had metal detectors at the front. There was cops walking up and down the hallways with bulletproof vests. It was whack. It was the bullshit
Damn,
ass
that's
school.
crazy.
Terrible. And you know, naturally you're gonna get tested. When you go to school, like you just get tested. So
It's
people are
bound to
just
happen.
yeah. So like you're gonna have to stand up for yourself. You got to hold your own. It's like if they think you soft, then you're always gonna get pressed as in just being soft. You know what I mean? So, but if you can fight or if you can stand up for yourself, or you're just well known, then you'd be all right.
Yeah. You're like painting a picture in my head. Like sometimes I'll watch like jail documentaries like 60 Days In or something like that. Do you ever watch like a jail show and you're like, that's like high school for me?
Low key, low key.
Low
Oh
key, that's
man,
what it sounds like.
it was terrible. It was the worst. But I'm happy they shut it down and now they split it. It was a big school. They split it into like two different schools or something now, and now it's much better. They like revamped it, but it was just lack of resources and it was just a shitty ass school. I don't even know why they sent me there.
Okay, for
Bullshit.
sure. All right, so got a few minutes left. So I just want to touch on the Bryan Battle fight, and I won't make you rehash everything, but there are a few things that like I just had to pull from it. And one
Mhm.
of those things, I think first and foremost for me is that for some odd reason, the UFC posted your guys' check-in weights for that fight
Yeah.
week. Are you aware of that at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so they did, and then I was watching basically a breakdown video on YouTube, like Max Holloway, and he
Mhm.
pointed it out. He's like, "Oh shit, I guess they like post your check-in weight now." So I
Nice.
went through and I was like curious, you know.
Good.
So I'm looking at everybody's check-in weights,
And how
and
much did he weigh? Probably like 195 or some shit.
194.5,
Okay.
194.5, and you were 190.
With clothes.
Okay, with clothes.
With clothes on.
So he might have had clothes too, but regardless, he was heavier than you. And so
Yeah.
I was looking at that and I was like, I made a post, but it was on my personal account. I didn't put it on the Parry Punch account. And I was
Mhm.
just like, Bryan Battles over like 24 pounds. Randy's 20 pounds over, but you're also taller than Bryan. So I was like putting that into factor. And I
Mhm.
was like, it seems like there might be a weight miss here. And then lo and behold, a weight miss happened. But you had no clue that this was going to happen. So that kind of like blows my mind a little bit that like I saw this on the check-ins that he was
Mhm.
24 pounds over, but you never got any word of that at all throughout fight
No.
week.
I mean, it's cool because here when you come to your check-ins, you can cut the weight. That's fine.
Mhm.
You can cut. You can
But he was like the highest over out of anybody. So that's why I was like, this seems like, you know, out of
seems a little
character.
odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess he could have said something. My biggest thing of where he could have said something is it wasn't the fact that he came in, however, over in the beginning of the week. Because whatever it is, I've seen people cut 20, 30 pounds that week, which is mind blowing, but they do it. Right.
Like Islam.
Yeah, guys do it. But what's crazy to me is that you knew you weren't gonna make the weight the day before. While I'm cutting weight, you could have hit me and been like, yo, bro, we ain't gonna make the weight. You know what I mean? Like, let's try to see if we can do this. Are you willing to do this at a catch weight? You know, even just give me the option to say, all right, fuck it. He's not gonna make the weight. Let me not cut and drain myself anymore because it's tough. You know, I'm a big guy, so it's tough to cut the weight. So he just gonna let me continue to cut, knowing that he's not gonna make it. The commission is gonna tell him he can't cut anymore. I'm suffering. He's just chilling. He gets on the scale. I show up. I didn't know until I literally got there, about to get on the scale. You know, they come over to me. UFC comes over to me and is like, hey, you know what? He's not gonna make the weight, and you know, we're trying to get him to finish the cut, but you know, the commission stopped him, and you know, he's not gonna make the weight. And you know, want to just get ahead of it before get ahead of it. I'm next to go stand on the
Yeah,
scale.
we're
What
way
do you
behind it
mean?
at this point.
You know, so that's all that was, man. And you know what? Also, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's I'm not. I can't dwell on it. It happened. I need to move forward and just look at what's next. It sucks that I lost the Bryan battle, but you know, he leaned on me on the cage. He didn't want to fight. The judges thought he did more. Most people said, a lot of people think it's a robbery. I thought I won the fight, you know.
I
But
thought it was very close actually, but I did give it to you.
yeah, I thought it was close too. And but that's what it is. You know, you can't dwell on shit like that. You know, they said he outstruck me. I guess. You know, what is a significant strike? I feel like we need to revisit what's an insignificant strike and what's a significant strike. Because if you push me against the cage and you do one of these, you know, that's not a significant strike to me. A significant strike is space. Boom, I snapped your head back. I think that's a significant strike. But which he had none of. But what are you gonna do, man? We just gotta move forward. It is what it is. That's the game.
Did you or okay, so I'm gonna try to go and like give you the best questions for this so we don't have to go over all the bullshit. But
Mhm.
with when you renegotiated with the weight, right? Um, this is actually something I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, and I learned from another fighter how the purses actually happen. So I'm curious if it happened with you too. Um, 20% is the standard, right? But you got 30.
Yeah.
Do you know whether or not you get 30% of his show and win, or if you only get 30% of his show?
Get 30% of his show.
So how do you like you're only getting basically not even a quarter of his entire purse when he wins. I
Yeah.
guess like I'm not gonna make you talk shit on the UFC, but I think people should know that because I think a lot of times people think that you're getting 30% of his full purse.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I think
That's why
people
I'm kind
think
of putting
that
that out there, but
I think people think that, you know, Bryan is making like millions of dollars or something. They're like, oh, you took the chunk out of it, you took the cash, you took the money. You know what? No one has to fight. No one ever has to fight. So you chose to fight. And the thing is like, yeah, no one has to fight. But people don't realize if I didn't fight, I wouldn't get paid at all. I wouldn't get no show money. That's the misconception that people think that you get. Oh, you showed up, you made what you're gonna get paid. No, I'm not gonna get paid. That's not what it
we know
is.
that from Wonder Boy and shit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happens. You don't get paid.
You'll get rebooked.
You just get rebooked.
Are you
So
gonna have to
think
train
about
for
all the
another
money
few
I spent.
weeks and fix the diet again and like all these
Yeah.
things?
And think
Redial it.
about I cut weight already, all the money spent, all the flights, all everything, the time put in people don't realize in recovery we put in too in this camp, in this game, man. I spend money on recovery. I spend money on travel.
If you go pay to
My
do ice baths and shit like that, I mean, like every
I have my
month,
own
yeah.
I have my
Okay,
own ice bath and
but you
sauna,
invested in that,
but I invested in that.
yeah,
I got to get like just I get rehydrated after throughout camp. Like I need, recovery, massage, all that stuff, man. You spend so much money, bro. And the fact that now it's like, shit, you got bills too, not to mention I got mortgage and I got kids,
you
you know
got
what
to
I'm
pay for
saying?
your
So
phone and shit, your car,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's like, what do you think? You think I'm just sitting on millions and millions of dollars? It's like, no, I still have these things that I got to do. So I don't know when I'm gonna be rebooked. You know what I mean? So I can say, all right, no, I'm not fighting. I may not be rebooked for 2 months. Still got all that money I spent is where I got to recoup it somehow because I planned on fighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess with that said, do you feel like it would be better if you got 30% of his full purse? Because I did the math, bro, and like again, I'm not trying to talk shit, but it's the truth. And if I don't like something, then I feel like I have to put it out there. And I'm kind of looking out for you guys too. When you get 30% of just his show, you're only getting like 15% of his overall perks. Like he's paying 15% of what everything he made. That's pretty fucking low if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can't quote me on it because I'm not sure exactly, right? If it is just the, but initially, whatever he makes, if he loses, that's what it is. If he wins, that's what it is, right? I'm guessing you're gonna get 30% of whatever it is, I believe.
Okay, so you actually
I'm
don't
not,
know for sure.
I don't know for sure,
I
right?
think it's
But
something
what?
you gotta look into because another fighter, Damon Jackson, told me that he only got 30% of his opponent's show that beat him.
Yeah,
And then
I
if you
think
do the
that's
math,
I
that's
do
only
think that's what
15%.
it is, but don't
Yeah.
quote me. But I do believe that's what it is.
Okay.
I would have to go back and look, but that's neither here nor there. What I do think is that the penalties need to be steeper. Fuck the money. Dudes will bite the bullet because this is an investment in your career. This is an investment in your career. So it's like, yo, you're fighting a bigger name. You're fighting a guy with some steam or some momentum. You're like, yo, if I beat this guy, this is gonna do good wonders for my career. Dudes will take a fucking 30% pay cut,
Well, because
20%.
everyone knows, right? It's nobody really talks about the result. They talk
Nah,
about they beat Randy Brown or not.
that's it. No
Yeah.
one cares about what. There's no asterisk next to it. Nobody cares. Like nobody's gonna come back and be like, yo, you know what, bro? He missed weight, and during the fight, it was controversial. You know what I mean? A lot of people thought the other guy won. I got it. I was gifted it. No one cares. No one cares. They're just gonna go look, win, loss. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. So also, I think maybe the last thing I have about Brian a little bit. Well, he said that how do I put this? Why do you think he missed weight like intentionally? Like, do you think he had that plan before he even came into fight week, or do you think it was more of a fight week decision?
I think so. He says that he in because he was
He said he popped his rib and it was a quick turnaround and things like this.
bro. I didn't even want to get into it too much about this, right? But it, we've seen the dude. I seen the dude out drinking. My coach has seen him out drinking. You know what I mean? At events. You know what I mean? Cornering other fighters. I seen him on Instagram. Like we act like we're blind. I seen him on Instagram smoking weed and fucking getting tattooed and popping fucking whatever the fuck, packing lips and shit like that. You chilling, bro. You
Shit, yeah,
chilling.
I
You're
did
not.
see those too.
Come on, bro. What are we
How
talking
long
about?
before that you guys got booked was that?
We were booked already. We were
Oh
already
shit.
booked.
And he's
I
still
was like,
getting a celebratory tattoo like
yo, I'm like,
sapping.
what are we doing, bro? We're 3 weeks out. What are we doing? Like, either you think I'm a bitch, or you don't respect me, or you just think like whatever. You don't, you know what I'm saying? You're just. I know he had the interview or whatever, and he blew up because of the interview that he had, the post fight speech,
Good
and
on him. I thought it was fire.
yeah, it was fire. So people, he's enjoying his newfound like popularity and shit like that, and I think he's just living,
You
and
checked out a
enjoying
little
it.
bit with that.
So it's like, nah, bro, we're still professionals. Show up and make the weight. You got a fight schedule. Show up and make the weight. But it is what it is, man. Dudes can do what they want to do, and it doesn't matter. Whatever we're talking about now, it doesn't even matter. The result was the result, and I'm looking forward to what's next in my career and being able to move forward.
Right. And I agree with you that it doesn't matter, but because we also talk about, right, it doesn't matter because people won't necessarily talk about it. I just want to be one of the few who kind of bring attention to it for whatever it's worth. So
Mhm.
the last thing I do want to say about it is just a personal take I have. And if you have thoughts, you can share it. But if not, we'll move on to the next topic and wrap up. Um, with Bryan saying how he wouldn't have taken the fight. Personally, I kind of think he would have because of all the circumstances you just listed out. It's not like he doesn't have that stuff going on too. Like if I
Yeah.
think he would take the fight. I feel like he's trolling you, is my point. But how did you take
Maybe.
that? Is that disrespectful? Like, does that piss you off? Because at first it kind of pissed me off, and then I was like, I feel like he's trolling him. I feel like he would take the fight, but he's trolling you because maybe he's mad about how bitter you are after the fight.
You know what? I just it's a slap in the face, but I wouldn't say made me mad. I mean, I don't really get mad, bro. I'm
It's
just
more of a
it's just
troll, you think?
yeah, probably. Or I don't know. I don't know his situation. I don't know what he got going on in life. You know what I mean? So maybe he wouldn't have, But for me, I needed to take the fight. And also the way it was presented, you know how it is. A lot of these guys they act like they don't know. But you're made out to be the bad guy. If you don't take the fight, it falls on your shoulders at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what the fuck that other opponent got going on. You
Yeah.
don't fight, it's like, this guy. You know
Well,
what
and
I
then
mean?
you're gonna have the meet. Well, the thing you probably don't even think about too is like then you'll have us talking about did Randy Brown get paid his show money even though he turned down the fight? Then that's gonna cause a little bit of drama with you in the UFC, like it happened with Wonder Boy. He didn't take
Yeah.
that fight, and then we're all posting like Wonder Boy deserves his money. Wonder Boy deserves his money, and like
Yeah.
UFC is getting ass. It's got a bad taste in their mouth. So I think it was
Mm,
probably the best move that you took it, regardless of the result.
Yeah. And also I'm a better fighter than Bryan Battle. At the end of the day, I know that I'm a better fighter. Maybe I didn't make the best decisions in there for sure during the fight, but it is what it is. It's clear. If you watch that fight, it's clear. He used his advantage. He had a weight advantage. People don't realize you might be about 4 or 5 pounds heavier on the scale, the official scale. But when you rehydrate, look how big he was in there. I'm usually presenting as a bigger guy, right? Because I got these skinny legs, broad shoulders, but I'm really not. I'm only about 186, 87 pounds when I get back in there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That dude was huge, man. He was in it like high 90s, 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just what it is. But skill wise, I think I'm the better fighter, and he used his advantages, pushed me against the cage, and should I have gotten off the cage more? Yeah, that's on me. So now we work on that and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay. Um, and I just want to put this one out there too, because I was watching the interview, so it just was on the top of my head. He was saying like, because Ariel asked him like, how much did you weigh? Like, were you over 200? And he didn't want to like admit that he was over 200. Which I feel like if you're gonna be a villain, like, why do you care? Like, if you were over 200, just say it. But
Yeah,
my take on that, my personal take is that if you come into fight week 194 and a half, and you cut and like you're draining yourself, your body's gonna blow back up once you get those fluids. You
yeah.
gotta blow back up past what you came into fight week at the very
Exactly.
least.
Exactly. Oh,
So
at least like
I'm
like
just trying to
people
put
act
that
like they don't know.
when I listen to this, and the fans who listen to this interview, at least when they consider your next fight, because people like to pick and make all kind of predictions and stuff. We're breaking it down like that, so they could at least consider like you know, that fight went down, but these are some of the intricacies that happened. Like Battle was likely over 200 pounds in there against you,
Mhm.
and I think that's worth noting for people who care.
You know, it is what it is. After his
Yeah.
interview, a lot of the comments too were like, he has a point, he has a point, and I was like, yeah, but he's leaving out so many details. In fact, he's manipulating
That's
y'all
why
because
I'm
y'all don't
kind of like
understand.
deciphering it all for you right now because I was listening to that too, being like, I don't really think he has a point.
It
He
is
might
what
be
it
mad
is,
at me when
man.
he listens to this, but I got to put it out there. Okay,
I
I just want
appreciate
to
it, man.
wrap it up by saying like, what's next for you? There are a few opponents in mind. I mean, he's trying to steal that Carlos Prates fight. I know you kind of want that one. Dates or anything like that. Like, what are you thinking here?
um,
Rematch? Because I heard you said you want a rematch. I don't know if you're still down for
uh,
that.
I'm down for that, but that's highly unlikely. With the
Yeah.
UFC, they typically don't do those. But you know what, man? I spoke to matchmakers and the UFC, and they're looking to rebook me as soon as possible. And we don't have any opponents yet. Few people in mind, but nothing, that we landed on yet. And I'm still gonna move forward. This is just like a sidestep. So I think I'll still be booked accordingly, and I'll be moving forward regardless. So it is what it is. Only thing I think sucks is that I think 20-5 is a lot more sexier than 19-6. You know what I mean? So, but and it stings a little bit that I lost to, fans can say whatever they think and again, I said it before and I'm gonna stand on it. And they said I was salty when I said it, but they think he's whatever he is, but I don't think he is that good. I think he's a tremendous athlete and he's here. He's a fighter. He's a great fighter. He made it to the UFC. He's a UFC fighter. He's a UFC caliber fighter, but there's still within the UFC, there's levels. I think that I am that level. I don't think he's on the level that he thinks he is, you know.
Mhm.
So
Well, he's got to prove himself, right? He's got to continue to fight the top competition and then continue to show up, right? And keep
yep,
winning.
yep. And I felt him in there, and I've stood in there with some of the best people in the world. You know, I am one of the best welterweights in the world, I believe, and you know, I fought and trained with some of the best welterweights in the world, and I'm feeling him while I'm in there, and I'm like, nah, bro, you're just big and slow. You
I was also
know?
gonna say, I think the commentary might have had a play in it. I don't know, but they were talking up the knees a lot.
Yeah,
Like, and when I was just listening, it was giving a different vibe. Like maybe the judges heard that, but just something. I think maybe that had something to do with it. But you also mentioned the 20-6 sounded better than 19-6. But I was actually looking at Buckley's record, and he was like 15-6 before he dropped down to welterweight. Now he's 21-6, and that still
yeah,
looks pretty good.
yeah.
So
That's true.
yeah,
That's
you could still
true.
go on a little streak right there. He was looking 15-6 for a while, but now he's gone on a winning streak. It's looking good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're coming, bro. We still working. We still grinding. Um, this I don't think this really did anything for our stock, whether it go up or down. But I think that my plans still remain the same. My goals are still the same. And the next person I'm in there with, you know, I'm gonna finish them, and you know, we're gonna keep it pushing. So
Okay. Got you.
ready.
Last thing I have for you then, because like you said, you're coming still, no Diddy. And and like, but you're also, you gotta kind of you don't have all the time in the world. I think that's a fair thing to say, right?
Yes, yes.
So with Buckley, something out of a page out of his book I've noticed is like, he called for these opportunities. He's looked out for certain fights that he wants to like fill in for and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And if you have any, you could share with me. But one off the top of my head is I was thinking maybe you versus MVP. He's fighting what's his name, Shara. But are
Mhm.
there any fights that you might want to like be down to fill in for? Like any opportunities you might want to manifest? Like I know you were talking about Chiesa and stuff like that. I kind of think he's like a decent opponent because he's a name and he's like good to put on your highlight reel. But any thoughts on that as far as manifesting something?
I'm trying to move forward, man. I mean, a Kiesa fight is nice, but at the end of the day, he's unranked. Like you said, I don't have time. I don't have time to waste. I don't have time for bullshit, controversial decisions either. I need to move forward, and I need to fight in the rankings. I need to hurry up and make this run and get this and chase these bigger fights. So, anyone in the rankings, man, I don't give a damn who it is. Anyone in the rankings, I think will be fine. I think
Morales,
Morales is good. Honestly, I like
I
Morales.
like that fight.
I really like Vicente. I think Vicente a rematch with Vicente is good. I think
Jeff,
MVP is not in the division anymore. Kevin Holland, even though he's unranked, I think that's a great name. You know, these are the kind of fights that I'm looking for now. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kies is great too, but I need something that's gonna just move me forward. You know, that's what I'm looking for right now. And put on exciting fights. Like
that's
coming
what I'm
into this
saying. Like
fight,
choose an. I think you got to put it out there too because you could easily get booked up against a opponent who's like kind of boring. So that's why
yeah,
sometimes it's worth kind of saying like, "Give me this name," like I might smoke him or something like that. You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
because they'll
But
give it to you.
I feel like that about a lot of dudes in this division, man. And I feel like I'm super underappreciated and underrated in the division. And I think that I put on exciting fights, and I believe that there's a lot of guys in this division that can really, really put on a show with me. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
and I think guys like Vicente, guys like Morales, guys like honestly, the top 15 is just looking good. Give me 10-5 right now. I think anyone from 10-5 is looking great. And honestly, the biggest fight that I do think styles make fights, and I think will make an amazing matchup.
Give me your number one.
Geoff Neal. I'll full in for Geoff Neal. I'll fight Geoff Neal tomorrow. I think that's the fight right there. Me and Geoff Neal. I
I
think
like
that's
it.
the one.
Is he booked?
I don't believe he's booked. And
Okay,
that's the fight that I'm chasing. If I'm going to put it out there, that's the
that's your
fight that I'm
favorite
chasing.
one. That's the one you want the most.
Yes.
All right, let's go, Geoff Neal then.
Let's
And
do
then
it.
any month, like an idea, like probably first quarter of next year. You said they're booking you quick. You got
Probably
UFC
going to book me
311
quick.
January.
Yep. Probably going to book me pretty fast.
Okay, if you
I
come
mean,
to
I was
LA,
just
I'm
in a
in LA
grappling
too.
match.
Huh?
I was just in a grappling match, bro. I got no injuries or nothing at all. I just grappled for 15 minutes. So,
Last weekend or something?
I mean, with Brian, that's all we did.
Oh, in that fight.
we just grappled against
Yeah,
the
you didn't take
cage,
any strikes or
We
anything like
didn't do
that.
anything, So get me back in there. I'm healthy and ready to go.
Okay, for sure. Thank you, Randy. I'll be looking out for the booking, and I appreciate the time, man, a lot.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate it.